But you can play it. And then you see the whole audience moving and smiling and standing up and dancing in the arcs, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of it. When you go to a classical concert, you look at the program, who's coming, who's playing, which symphony. In my case, they don't know, and I don't tell them. They only know when you go to Andre and his orchestra, you will have an evening you will never forget. And that is why we travel the world. I want to touch the hearts of the people.
The King of Waltz almost lost it all. For years, millions saw Andre Rieu smiling on stage, bow in hand, leading thousands into music and joy. But behind that glitter, his story was much darker. A story of strict parents, heartbreak, sickness, and survival. And today, at age 75, one big question remains. Is he about to risk it all one last time? To understand that, you have to go back to the very beginning. Andre Rieu was born in 1949 in the Netherlands. Music ran in the family. His father was a famous conductor. On stage, people admired him. At home, he ruled like a soldier. His 6 children did not grow up with laughter or bedtime songs. They grew up with fear. Andre later said it simply, "My parents didn't love me." His mother cared only about grades and skills. His father wanted discipline, not imagination. If a teacher praised Andre's talent, he was scolded for it at home. Creativity was a weakness. Joy was weakness. For a child who loved sound and beauty, this was a cage. But then, something changed. At age 5, Andre met his first violin mentor. She was young, graceful, and unlike his parents. She encouraged him. She taught him to feel the music, not just play it. For the first time, Andre felt free. The violin wasn't homework, it was a doorway to life. As he grew older, this passion clashed with his father's rules. His father didn't want waltzes, he wanted strict, formal music. Once he shouted at Andre, "I didn't raise you to play waltzes." Those words hit harder than any punishment. They cut into his soul. But Andre didn't give up. Instead, something new entered his life, Marjorie. She wasn't a musician. She was a partner, steady, smart, and supportive. His family hated it. His mother told him to leave, so he did. That night, he walked out and never went back. Andre lost his parents' support forever. They never came to his concerts, not even once. But he gained something better, freedom. With Marjorie at his side, he started building his own path. In the late 1970s, Andre began small. He formed a little group of musicians. They played at weddings, small halls, even forgotten towns. No glamour, no critics, just pure music. And behind the scenes, Marjorie was working hard, writing, organizing, booking. She was the invisible engine that powered his dream. By 1987, Andre created the Johann Strauss Orchestra, just 12 musicians at first. But their mission was bold: bring joy back to classical music. They didn't wear black suits. They wore colors. They didn't stand stiffly. They laughed, they danced, they welcomed people in. Critics mocked them. One conductor even called it musical pornography. But the public loved it. Audiences felt something fresh, something human. By the mid-1990s, Andre was no longer a small-town musician. He was filling stadiums. In Vienna, at a football final, his waltz stopped the crowd in their tracks. Fans swayed, clapped, and even cried. And just like that, Andre Rieu was not just a violinist, he was a phenomenon, breaking free and building his own path. Success was growing fast, but Andre's journey was never easy. By the mid-1990s, the Johann Strauss Orchestra was performing on bigger and bigger stages. At first, they were laughed at. Traditional critics thought waltzes were outdated. They thought music should be serious, cold, and strict. But the people felt something different. Families, young couples, and even grandparents filled the seats. They wanted joy, not stiffness, and Andre gave it to them. The turning point came in 1995. The stage wasn't a concert hall, it wasn't even a theater. It was a football stadium in Vienna during the Champions League final. Tens of thousands of fans had come for the game, but when Andre and his orchestra began to play, something strange happened. The crowd stopped shouting. The music filled the air. People swayed, clapped, and even cheered along. For a moment, the energy of sport and the beauty of waltz became one. That performance made Andre a household name. His album soared to #1 in the Netherlands and stayed there for 19 weeks. For classical music, this was unheard of. Soon, the magic spread far beyond Europe. In Australia, stadiums were packed with tens of thousands of fans. In Melbourne alone, 38,000 people came to see him live. His DVDs flooded the market. At one point, he had 8 of the top 10 DVDs in Australia all at once. He was standing shoulder to shoulder with rock stars like AC/DC and pop icons like Pink. But while the fans adored him, not everyone celebrated. Some traditionalists in the classical world despised what he was doing. They called his shows cheap and too commercial. One conductor even sneered that André's concerts were nothing more than musical pornography. To André's audience, though, it was the complete opposite. For them, his music brought life, laughter, and hope. Grandparents cried, children danced, families felt connected again. André himself explained it simply. With us, you don't feel the silence that drives people away. You feel welcome. That was his secret. He wasn't just giving concerts, he was giving joy. Yet behind the bright lights and huge smiles, cracks were starting to form. Touring the world was not easy. The schedule was punishing. Night after night, city after city, the pace was endless. For years, André pushed through, but in 2010, everything changed. That year, he was struck by a viral infection in his inner ear. For a violinist, balance is everything. Suddenly, the world was spinning around him. Walking was hard. Playing was almost impossible. Tours had to be canceled. Fans were shocked. For the first time in decades, the man who always said yes to the stage had to admit, "I can't." It wasn't just sickness, it was a breaking point. The myth of the unstoppable maestro had cracked. André was bedridden, staring at walls that seemed to move around him. Doctors tried everything, but progress was slow. For months, it looked like his career might end right there. The birth of the Johann Strauss Orchestra. For André, 2010 felt like the end. The infection in his ear had stolen the one thing he relied on most: balance. The ground shifted beneath him, concerts were canceled, tours were stopped. His orchestra waited, unsure if their leader would ever return. André was known for being strong, but now even standing was a battle. Doctors prescribed rest. Weeks turned into months. Therapy after therapy failed. Fans worried they might never see him play again. Then something unexpected happened. A fan from Australia wrote him a letter. That fan had suffered the same illness and explained a set of special balance exercises that had helped him recover. André was desperate. He tried them. Slowly, the spinning stopped. Step by step, he regained control. First unsteady, then firmer. After months of darkness, he walked back onto the stage. It was a miracle comeback. His fans cheered louder than ever. To them, he looked healed. But inside, André knew things were different. The dizziness never fully left. His equilibrium would always be fragile. Management even admitted that another attack could be dangerous, especially if it struck him in the middle of a concert. Still, André refused to give up. He returned to touring, though with caution. His music meant too much to him, but fate was not finished testing him. In 2016, while on tour in the UK, tragedy struck. His close friend and orchestra member, trombonist Ruud Merckx, passed away suddenly in his sleep. To André, Ruud wasn't just a colleague. He was like a brother. The news shattered him. In the middle of the tour, André canceled everything. Nottingham, London, Birmingham, Glasgow, all gone from the schedule. Fans were surprised, but they didn't complain. They understood. The orchestra wasn't just a band, it was a family, and they were grieving. For André, this loss was harder than illness. You can fight sickness with doctors and medicine, but grief leaves no cure. He admitted later that it broke something inside him. When the concerts finally resumed, they carried a new weight. Every song, every note was touched by the absence of his friend. Even after this, André kept moving forward. He was determined, but his body still betrayed him at times. In 2019, during a tour, he was struck by a vicious flu. Fever, weakness, shivers. But still, he performed. To the audience, he smiled and played, but those closest to him could see the struggle behind the smile. Andre Rieu's journey is more than a career, it's a legacy. He took the waltz, a style many believed was fading, and turned it into a worldwide phenomenon. More importantly, he gave people something far greater than music. He gave them joy. Think about it. In every country, in every city, fans left his concerts smiling, laughing, even crying from happiness. In a world often filled with stress, conflict, and noise, Andre built an escape. His violin became a doorway into something lighter, warmer, more human. That's why he's not just a musician, he's a storyteller of emotion. But legacy is about more than applause. It's about impact. Andre changed how people saw classical music. He proved it didn't have to be locked in dusty halls or reserved for elites. It could belong to everyone, young and old, rich and poor, serious and silly. He broke the rules, and by doing so, he created a new world for millions of listeners. Now the question is, what happens after him? Pierre is ready to guide the orchestra. The musicians are skilled enough to carry on. The name Johann Strauss Orchestra will not disappear. But deep inside, fans know there's only one Andre. His energy, his laughter, his playful wink at the audience, those things can't be copied. They live only in him. That's why every concert now feels like history. Every bow he takes, every final note he plays, it all carries extra weight. Fans film more, hold their tickets tighter, and say to themselves, I was there. They don't want to forget. They want to lock the memory away forever.